Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kashif Boothe podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is RCL. I've met you late 2019, yes, because we both were at the London Short Series Festival, and your film was
That's right.
screened Soul of a Black Woman. Right.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed your film. I remember speaking to my editor and it was like it reminded me of Lemonade. It's giving
Mm,
me a lot of Lemonade vibes, and it's gone on to do so well. Like, so congrats on all of that
thank you.
success.
Thanks. It's done a
So,
little bit of a tour.
really, like, how far did it go?
So it showed at Urban Media Makers in Atlanta. It's shown at Charlotte Black Film Festival. It's shown at obviously London Short Series, Women of the Lens. I feel like I'm forgetting something somewhere.
See, that's
Yeah,
because
but it's
like
won
so
two
many.
awards, so as
Oh,
well.
good.
It's one,
Congrats.
yeah, it's
Congrats.
one best short Afrofuturism short film and best film score. So happy about
Amazing.
that.
But see, that's the thing. When it gets into loads, you just can't keep track. You know,
Right.
that's a
You're
good
right.
sign, though. You don't want to
Yes.
remember all of them. You have to like
Right.
check the list. So,
Definitely.
thanks for coming on today. So, how would you kind of start? Well, we can start really with like, how did you get started? What got you into film and TV?
Well, the funny thing is, I was actually a care worker. So this is going back. I'm going to show my age now. About 10, 11, 12 years ago now. So I was a care worker for a number of years. And don't get me wrong, I loved caring for people. And I cared for people who were elderly, had mental health problems, the whole range from 3 months through to 97 years old. So it was fantastic, and I think it prepared me to be a filmmaker. The longevity, I think. But I picked up a camera and just fell in love. It's really as simple as that. I think when I look back even to my childhood, where I would self-teach myself stop motion animation, and I actually had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that if I start and stop my camera multiple times and moved this object and played it back, I was animating it. I just didn't know what the terms were. And I would always make stories up, and I was very, even though I was a shy child, I had a very vivid imagination. And so when I look back in life, I was always doing some form of filmmaking. It's just that I just didn't know what it was. And so yeah, after I picked up a camera, I was just like, I want to do this. Like I've always had a deep set in my mind that you should always go after what you want, as in, if you believe that there's one life that we're living, you might as well go for it. You might as well be fulfilled. What have you got to lose? So yeah, I remember quitting my job and I started making music videos. So I literally self-taught myself how to film and edit, and I made music videos for about a year. And then I realized all the music videos that I was trying to do, they were actually mini stories. So I shot my first two short films. I'm trying to think what year this would have been. It would have been about 2009, 2010, yeah, around those times. And I got to a point where I couldn't self-teach myself anything anymore. Like you hit a roadblock, you just don't know which direction to go. So I decided to go to college. I went to college, which was South Thames College, and they were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. They really, because I was never good in school or writing, and this is before I learned that I was actually dyslexic. So anytime I tried to write down my thoughts, I'd always get this like roadblock in my mind. And they were really, really good. And it was the first time I said, I have a problem with writing. And my teacher sat me down and she just broke it down visually, how to write a script and creatively write it. I was just like, cool. Got home, wrote everything that was in my mind, because I could rhythmically pull it together. It was just like a pattern and a sequence rather than how I thought of writing. It just felt very obscure before writing. But I could get up in a crowd and talk about it. So it's just like there was a disconnect there. And while I was on that course, they begged me to apply to university. I was just like, no, education is not for me. I'm just going to get through this course and go out there, become a filmmaker. And they were like, please go to university. And I said, okay, I'll apply, not thinking that I'll get in. I got in, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing something here. And by this time, I'm in my late 20s, and I decided to go to the University of Westminster to study contemporary media practice. And it was the best decision for me. Like, not everybody has to go to university to become a filmmaker, but they really honed and challenged me. They really honed my skills, but most importantly, I wanted somebody who challenged me and critiqued my work, pulled it apart and showed me how to do it better. And that's what they really done. And while on that course, I really found my love and my stride within writing and directing. And obviously within that course, we learned about photography, new media, coding, installation work, and filmmaking. So it was a huge breadth of actual media, which you can actually apply to anything that you're doing now, because a lot of people are very interdisciplinary now. And even on the course, we done a short called Dance for Me, that then actually went on to win the Rain Dance and Daily Motion web series pilot competition. So we won £2,500 and the use of the Daily Motion edit suites in Paris. So I did pop over to Paris for a bit to edit our next project. So that was in my year 2. And by our 3rd year, we were making Pride, Pole and Prejudice, which was a short documentary on breaking the stigma of pole dancing. And that went on to screen around the world as well. And yeah, I've done some other things educational wise since then, but that's been my journey into, more professional filmmaking.
That's really good to hear. I like hearing so many people's different journeys, and that's what's great of doing this season. Like, everybody, how they got into film is just so different, and so that's really good to hear. And it's funny you mentioned Westminster Uni. I was considering doing that course when I was going to uni.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember going, but it was just too artsy for me. I don't know why. It just wasn't a good fit for me. But then I went to, I'm not going to say the uni's name, but that course wasn't really good. So I kind of regret that. So I think I would have benefited at Westminster. So, and what year did you go to Westminster?
I went there in 2012.
Oh, okay. Because I was considering to go in 2010. So
Okay.
Like, okay. So yeah.
You would have been a couple. So
yeah,
so we would have bucked up on each other at some point if you went. Like.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I regret it now. There's so many other unis I could have gone to. But hey, we're here now as filmmakers doing that thing. Exactly. So yeah, that's really cool. So what would you say is your aesthetic and style as like a writer, director? Like, what would you say that is?
Well, I think that's definitely changed over the years. Like I've done an array of different things and different kinds of genres, but I really have fallen in love with not only sci-fi, but Afrofuturism specifically. So with Soul of a Black Woman, it was completely outside of the box of when you're talking about the type of films that I'd made previously, as in it was very experimental, but it was a homage to Black women. It was about me, but when I say me, I mean Black women and Black women globally and the ties that link us across the world. And it was very Afrofuturism, which I absolutely love, because it's cool that you picked up Lemonade, because that was a huge inspiration for the film. And so I've since like stuff like Black Panther came out, oh gosh, yes, I was like, yes, this is my genre. This is my thing. Yeah. So even what I'm going on to doing now is within Afrofuturism, and I feel like I really want to make films that are for us and most importantly by us. And even to specialize even more, I want Black women to be lead roles, because I just don't get me wrong, there are some really good like series like Star Trek Discovery, which I absolutely love. But I think there's of course there's space for more Black women in lead roles, and so I think I'm going to use my craft to showcase the talent of us.
Because that's what I was going to ask you next, actually, as navigating as a Black woman in this industry, particularly in the UK, because you made a good point of wanting to showcase more Black women in lead roles, and a lot of people will then argue, well, there is loads in America, but it's like, what about here? We're British people. So I think that's where you're coming from, where you want to feature more Black women, and Black women as Black women, not people who
Mm-hmm.
are, have mixed heritage and they are
Mm-hmm.
perceived as one. Sometimes you want to make sure that little girls and other women can see themselves on screen like that. So as a Black
Mm-hmm.
woman navigating in this industry, what have you feel like you've overcome or learned, or what you've had to kind of do to get to where you are now?
I think there's a problem within the industry where they say that they want more diversity, but they're not giving the opportunities to people who are diverse. And when you go for certain roles, they say that you don't have the experience, but nobody's giving you the experience because you lack experience. And it's this catch-22 that's happening over and over again. So I've very much come to the conclusion it's not my problem to fix. I'm not the one, I'm not the gatekeeper. So all I can do is keep making my content. I think as long as you keep going, and you will eventually, your work will eventually land on their table at some point, and you just got to strive for bigger and better. That's there's so many barriers, but I think if you concentrate too much on that, it'll paralyze yourself. So you got to go where your work is appreciated. You got to go where your audience are, and that's why sometimes you see a lot of actors leaving Britain to go to the US, because they're hiring over there. So what are you supposed to do? So that's I think, yeah, it's a mindset as well, like that. Even if 100 people say no, you will get one yes, but sometimes the yes has to come from you, as in, you're going to make this regardless. Are you going to help me or not? Is kind of like the attitude that I have.
I agree, and I think that's a good attitude to have. And it's funny, the previous episode I recorded, I was saying to that director that when I did loads of traveling in 2019 and looking at different film festivals in America, particularly, I really saw how the industry moves different over there. I mean, every country has racism. Yes, 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 we know this. But like, I feel like in certain countries, the way how they move in the industry, they just understand the value of markets and from a business perspective. So in America, they have that Black Hollywood. So regardless of how they'll be lynching people in Trump 2020 and all that stuff, right? Okay, they know the value in the Black market. The film festivals I went to were sponsored by Netflix and Sony and all that stuff because they know how much money they're going to bring in. And I feel like the UK is still playing catch up. Loads of people I know are being commissioned to write a pilot or etc. And okay, cool, is it going to actually get on the TV? That's what we're trying to really see. And with everything that happened last year with Black Lives Matter really being at the forefront, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years, because we know how long it takes for things to be developed in this country. So we'll see. But then it's so funny, on Twitter the other day I saw somebody say that loads of writers got reached out to by agencies, and then during George Floyd and all that stuff, and then after a few months they ghosted them. These were their words, and didn't hear from them again. So it's, is back to what you said, like, are they really pushing for diversity, or is it just, oh, it was cool for the moment and we'll see, and then it's back to normal? So I don't know, it's a tricky
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the problem as well. It's
Mhm.
just that how do these companies behave when the hype is no longer Black Lives Matter, when the hashtag isn't trending anymore? Are these people still hiring Black people or diverse people or people that just don't look like them? That's the biggest question. Like, there's no point in showing false solidarity. Like, you nowadays with Twitter, you will be outed. You will be out.
Exactly, and you have to watch your step, like literally.
Mhm.
Exactly. So I'm trying to think now. You've shared like your experience of working in this industry in terms of diversity. So how have you been able to take what you've gone through and like put it into your work and to where you are now in terms of, I know you've got a pilot coming out soon, because I know you guys raised, well, you was able to have a successful crowdfunding campaign with
Mhm.
Wolfpack Productions. Yeah, could you tell us more about that as well?
So yes, with Woolpack Productions, we raised money for the pilot Hipsteries. So that should, well, as soon as COVID decides to go away, hopefully we can get around to filming, because that crowdfunding campaign was supposed to come out like well over a year ago. We managed to push through it through COVID. So yeah, I'm attached as the director of that, and that's been in development for a couple of years, but we finally crossed that line of raising money for it. And it is a pilot for a half-hour episodic series, and it's very much centered in East London, Hackney. And yeah, like the crew and everybody are well diverse, the cast is diverse, like, you know, I think even as a Black director, you always have to be conscious, and you have to be conscious and know the reasons why you're hiring, say, certain diverse cast, for instance, and just representing the country you're in and the area that you're in. Hackney is very diverse, so we're just showing it exactly how it is. So that's the main, you know, and it's a comedy horror. Like, I'm into comedy and horror as well. I have done a couple little sketches myself in the past, so you know, it's right up my avenue. I, you know, as much as I, for my own personal work that I've written and directed before, which is predominantly around Afrofuturism, like I don't like to box myself in. I am always open to other genres, working on other people's projects and so on. So I could never see myself just doing one genre or one type of film. I think, you know, um, we we as people are more diverse in what, you know, you don't have to specialize nowadays, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't believe, you know, if you want to, fine, but you don't have to. I think gone are the days where somebody is just a producer for 30 years and that's it, and that's your retirement plan. Nowadays, we do a multitude of different roles and so forth throughout all our career within the kind of like hashtag of being a filmmaker. So yeah, yeah.
No, I think that's really good because I mean, look at me, I'm doing this podcast. I never thought I'd do podcasting, but you know, we're
Right.
creatives, you know what I mean? And I want to give a platform to people who I'm a fan of their work. And, you know, because some people I see who are grinding out, they've done such amazing work and I don't see them get the flowers they receive or should
Mm.
receive. So, yeah, so I totally understand that. So, looking at your career and the type of content you make, who are some of like your inspirations?
That's a funny one because I don't know. Like, I think I've been asked that before. Like, I had inspirations back in the past. Like, I used to love Tim Burton's films, and I still do like the aesthetic. But I think the more I study film, the more I can. Like, it's very, very hard for me to sit down with a film or a TV show and not dissect it in my mind. Like, it becomes very, very hard because I can understand that shot. I'm like, oh, why did they go for that color grade? Oh, picking out the color tones within the color palette and so forth. So it's just like it's very, very, very hard. I think there's 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 a multitude of Black people doing their thing, and every time I see exceptional work come from Black people, it, you know, it is inspiration. Like, I go to so many film festivals and see so much work. It's hard to pick out one person or a set of people. Like, I I I I look, not necessarily look up to, but I definitely admire anybody that just keeps going. Like, even when you've been told no, 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 or this ain't good, it's not going to be seen nowhere, and so forth. Like, I was told that about Soul of a Black Woman. I was told it's no good. Like, I was told it's no good, it's childish, it's this, it's
Childish.
that. I was like,
Oh.
okay,
Wow.
okay, that's fine. And this was just before it took off and started touring around the world. So I'm like, okay, that's your opinion. So, so
Gosh,
I
that's
think,
strong. Serious.
yeah, like, yeah. So I think, I think I just admire people that just keep going, because filmmaking ain't for the weak. So it's not. It's a labor of love.
Mhm.
A lot of the time, a lot of people doing it and paying for it out of their own pockets. Um, when you're writing at 2 a.m., there ain't nobody there. When you're in the edit room sweating because you're not sure the
Yeah.
shot look right, no one's there. Like, nobody sees those things where you
Mhm.
really want to give up. Like, a good example is when I was doing Soul of a Black Woman, and it was the chapter where you see all the letters and then they form an image. And the first time I done it, I think my computer crashed and the whole file corrupted. And I was just like,
Oh.
I don't want to do this. I was just like, I want to do this thing. I'll come up with something else. And my business partner, he was just like, do it again, because it was looking good, do it again. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And he's just like, do it again, done it again. And it became the poster and everything. So yeah,
That was the
like
highlight
there's a
of the film. I do remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it was worth it. It was worth
Yes.
it.
So it's a lot for people. Don't realize what you go through just to realize your film. um so yeah, I have admiration for anybody, and specifically Black creatives who just keep making and just keep doing, especially in this type of world that we're living in.
It's really good because you're the second person to say that now as well. Like, you're
Mm,
just inspired by the people around you. And it's a question I ask because it's really interesting to see people's journey and what kind of got them into filmmaking. And that's like me as well. I'm asked that question all the time doing interviews, and it's like, yeah, I struggle. Like, I don't know how to answer it.
mm,
I just like making content. I like to do this. I like to tell stories. That's just what I want to do. I didn't watch
mm,
something and said, you know what, that's what I want to do. No, I was coming up with stories all the time. I'm very visual.
right.
And so I totally get that. So what would you say is some of like the best advice you've received to like keep going, when you're in the trenches? Like, what what advice have you received?
um Well, sometimes the advice is just keep making stuff, like just keep doing, like, and it's the same advice that I give to young filmmakers who are coming up. They're like, oh, I don't know how to get into films. I'm like, you will never see my first two films. They will never see the light of day because they were that bad. But I made them, and that's the whole point. You can only learn by mistakes. So the same advice that was given to me, I would give to other people. It's just like, you got a mobile phone, you can shoot, like you can film, like, don't worry about how it looks or how it sounds, especially if it's your first film. Don't get me wrong, if you've got the equipment and you've got people surrounded around you that have a lot more experience, then you can aim higher. But if you don't, shoot, keep filming. You got your mobile phone, meaning that you've got everything that you need to shoot something. So the more you shoot, the better you get, and it's as simple as that. Like, filmmaking is an art that only gets better the more times you do it. And even the directors who are making millions of dollars per film, like, I'm sure they still look at their work and go, could have done better. Like, so, never strive for perfection. You just have to strive to do better than your last film. That's all it comes down to. And the only way you're going to do that is to shoot your first film and then look back at it, critique it, and then move on to the next one and try to do a little bit better each time. So, and then that's the advice that was given to me. And that's the advice that I give to young filmmakers coming out.
No, I agree. I think that's good advice because I would say to people, just make it. I put out stuff which I still have on my YouTube channel because I'm like, yeah, look where I started and where I am now. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know Jack then. Now I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot. And you need to learn from your mistakes and grow from it. And I always say to people that, sometimes don't stress too much about production quality and stuff like that. As long as the content's there, That's what people care about. You have the naysayers who will come out with their critiques, and it's like, yeah, it's fine, but focus on the content, and then you grow from it, because you know you want to make good quality stuff, so you just continue to push forward with that. So what's next? What's next for you? What's coming besides the pilot? What you talked about? What else have you got coming? What you can share?
What I can share. Well, I'm currently on a mentorship and have been since late last year with B3 Media. So that's been absolutely fantastic. Like, can't big them up enough. And so I've had the personal mentors as well as workshops with them. So the good thing is about being on this mentorship, I applied with the feature film project that I'm currently writing. And the idea of the mentorship is to guide you through that project. So I'm at the point where I'm currently writing my feature film, but it was strongly advised that I do a proof of concept for it, which I literally finished the first draft of it last night. And so I'm going to do a short film that is actually a proof of concept for the feature film. And with that, I'm going to be applying for money, raising money for the proof of concept, with the idea that this will be a proof of concept. We get it into festivals, we get it around as a way to shop the feature film script. And that would be the idea of it. Like, I'm so excited for this. It is, you know, black female led. It's sci-fi, Afrofuturism. I don't want to talk about anything else with it, but I absolutely love the idea of it. And we've been working on some music demos for it, put together the treatment for it. Absolutely, like, in love with it. And if it can be my feature film debut, like, it would be like,
when
I
let's
will,
start manifesting. Let's
manifest. Yes, give me the money, give me the money. Like,
100K.
Yes,
100K.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That is really good.
That's my current personal projects that I have been working on most of 2020. Like, I'm a kind of person who just doesn't, I don't like to put out stuff until it's actually materialized. So I can be quiet on the social media front, but behind the scenes, I'm typing away furiously.
I definitely understand that. I only share stuff when, like, it's contract signed, everything's confirmed, it's done. You know, you see people dry. Yeah, you know, see people, they're like, oh, I've got this new idea coming. It's like, cool, all right. Yeah. But like when it's actually done, yeah, I'm like, here we go, it's all out for everyone to see. Yeah, I definitely understand that. Well, that's good. So where can people find you on social media and stuff like that, and your previous work as well?
So you can find everything under RCL Graham. That's my name. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my website is rclgraham.com. So if you drop RCL Graham into Google, you'll find me.
Great. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Again, it was great talking to you and hearing your journey. So thanks, guys, for listening. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media at Kashif Boothe. There's loads of them. Just put it into Google and stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.